missing?
Well, first of all, I got to tell the story. This walkthrough I did last week, I went to the sales department, and there is John Spence, who is
Still there.
still there. John Spence, great guy.
Yeah.
Hey, guys!
But I'm standing there talking to him, and you hadn't seen him in years, and he looks at me and goes, "So are you bored?"
Oh my God, that's a perfect John Spence. What are you just doing with your face?
So, yeah, no, everything's cool.
I bet you don't miss waking up early.
Well, that is.
Isn't that nice just to get up whenever your eyeballs open?
As you both know.
It's rough.
It's rough, and everything you do that day, all has to surround the idea of getting up that early the next day.
Yeah, going to bed in enough time.
Take a nap now. I got to eat, then take a nap. But no, I got a thing tonight. So you have to do calculus every day to do it.
Right.
And yeah, blessed to be able to say we did that for 25 years. But I do not miss that part of it. Alarm went off today, and it was still dark out. Do you remember? I was like, oh yeah, that.
Oh, we agreed to 9?
So, I'll do a quick John Spence, and then I'll answer your question. Here's John Spence. Every freaking day of our life, we'd finish the show, we go to the back studio, we're going to record some spots, and they're John Spence's. Here's John. He'd just open the door, and he would go, "Hey guys, just have fun with it."
Yeah.
Thanks, good note. Good note.
Speaking of salesmen, there was they would get everybody would get Mark and I's name mixed up all the time.
I still to this day answer to Brian.
Yeah, and I answer him. It's fine.
Yeah.
But there was a brand new salesman, and he really wanted to make a good impression, and he was wearing the crispy shirt, and he was wearing the tie, and he's his first day there, and I'm walking out of the auxiliary studio, and he walks up to me with all the confidence in the world, and he goes, "Hi, Mark." And he walks down the hallway.
I mean, you just go, how's it going?
I just let him do it. Whatever.
Well, to answer your question, after 50 years of doing this, and nothing will ever replace the joy that I receive from putting on headphones and speaking into a microphone. I'll never, ever, ever replace it. And I've got the podcast that I do once a week, which is comfortable. But what I find that keeps me the happiest, by the way, as I've processed not doing this, I don't miss the grind. I don't miss the 8 to 10 hour a day, every day, primarily days you're not in the mood for it. I don't miss that. But what I do is I fill my day with things that are creative. And whatever that may be, it can be whatever it is that you enjoy. Wait, that can be creative. I know I'm creative.
I gotta get thumb down, because that's somebody else's job.
No, the key.
I'm not even a lefty.
The key is to not let yourself get bored. To do stuff that you enjoy, that you find creative, and just kind of get through your day with that. And that's
Have you picked up any hobby, bucket list hobby? I'm gonna try doing this and see if I like it.
Yeah, for a while, I haven't done it for a while. For a while, I was a freelance conjugal visitor in a women's prison.
Nice.
Hey, wasn't that lucrative, but you get paid in cigarettes and toilet wine.
Boy, with the term toilet wine, you get a video.
Yeah.
Which sounds pretty good.
I mean, prison hooch is kind of the fancy
Prison
version.
hooch.
But then you say toilet wine, and it's the same
Well, actually,
thing.
prison hooch was my first client.
Hey, and you know what? I know we got to go. We're close to going, right?
No, we can stay all
Okay,
night
well,
if you
here's the
want.
thing. I want to say this because I mean this. The fact that you, Heidi, and Frank would allow Mark and Brian, who you filled our shoes, to come back in here and be on your show, and I know that you know what I'm saying. How many morning shows would allow that? The egos are huge. There's issues, there's problems, but you embraced it, and it meant the world to both of us that you would say, guys, we know you've got a long day. Come start it with us. It really does. It just shows who you are as people.
Well, the thing is, when our boss Keith mentioned it, they're like, hey, they're going to come on for one show in the afternoons, and they'd like to come on, but they're very respectful. Want to know if you're okay with that. I'm like, are you kidding me? I mean, seriously, to have you guys in the room with us. So it was the radio rule about reintroduce who's on your show right now.
Yeah,
I'm like,
sure.
I don't think I need to. Just the voices and just the
So
history.
familiar.
Everybody's like, am I hearing Mark and Brian? I think they woke up from a coma. They're like, wait, what the hell's going on right now?
Is it 1987?
But yeah, so we've always looked up to you guys and appreciate, you were way supportive when we first started, and you told the audience to give us a shot. Both of you did, and that means a lot to us. And so, anytime you guys are here in town, just want to come on and have fun with us, the door's always
And
open.
what's beautiful about it is when we first started and we would be out somewhere, people would say, "Oh, I don't know, I was Mark and Brian," and they'll do all of your little inside jokes, and I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
And now, all these years later, they're like, "I was a huge Mark and Brian fan, hated you guys when you first started, I really hated it. And now, man, I love you guys so much."
Yeah.
Like and so that's where it's like, okay, we won. I'm sure we did lose some, and that's fine. But the people who loved you because of your authenticity and all the reasons they loved you, now they're like, well, I'll just give them a shot. And it is thanks to you guys for saying, hey, listen, we got our stamp of approval. And so if they're like, well, if they're okay with it, then maybe we should be okay with it. And now
And look
they're a
what
part
you
of
did.
the family.
And look what you did, you guys.
Yeah.
Congratulations. And I wanted to say we're very sorry to hear the news about Frosty.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he
Frosty's
really
dad.
wanted to be here because he hasn't met you guys.
He
He
loves
was
to met him.
super excited,
Yeah, all right.
So unfortunately not.
So I live in a little small town 20 minutes north of Charlotte, and
Redneck.
oh yeah, and happy to be so. And I can remember, especially this past season, watching it on television, the fires and the winds and the floods that came through. I remember standing every year, because we lived up in Santa Clarita, and the Santa Anas was just whipped through. And the flames would be 100 yards from our yard, and you're just praying and you're hoping. And the sky is that orange color that it gets when there's nothing but smoke. And I'm sure that you dealt with this on the program, but I reached out knowing that 1,000 people had done the same as well, Frank. But Frank lost his house in those flames. And it affects and touches each and every person.
We told him not to start the meth lab.
I should have listened.
Very dangerous, very high.
So, having gone through that, obviously you lose your house and whatever was in it. But what is it that you go through, having looked back on that and processed it? What did you lose?
It's not really so much what I lost. I think it's actually what I was able to gain. It was the baptism by fire. I'm the type of guy who needs a total annihilation to learn a lesson. And in this particular case, it was like, do all the things I own and have, and I open my closet, and I open, is it really who I am or who I think that I am? Like, I have camping gear because I had to go through and itemize some things. Like, oh yeah, we had all the camping gear. I haven't been camping in a decade, but did I want to believe I was a guy who camped? And so it really slowed down my process about what's important, what you really, really need, and who you are.
Stuff is stuff.
When you start over with a completely blank Etch-a-Sketch after you've built, 50 years of whatever you have, and it's gone, it's blank, and you start over. It really makes you think about who you really are, who you really want to be. And so when I had all the support from you and everyone reaching out, it was so special that I've never really been on that end of receiving, and I realized I am a great receiver. Really, I love receiving Hella giving, I'm receiving.
Well, you know what? And this came
It's
to
a great
mind.
place to be, isn't it?
It's a wonderful lesson.
This came to mind when you lost your house, and I buried both my mother, father, and sister while I was doing Mark and Brian. Brian buried his dad while we were doing Mark and Brian, and show still happens.
That's right.
You still have to put aside, I lost my house, I'm burying my father today. You still come in, and to a degree, it's really hard to get up that morning because you've not slept and you're bothered, and you come in, and then this becomes cathartic.
That's right.
It does, and also, I bet it's the same with you guys. Some days, some mornings, you're just whatever. Your chemistry, your life, whatever. You don't feel like being the life of the party at 6 o'clock in the morning.
Correct.
But your partner's going to be there, and you, because of your partner, and back and forth. This has happened to both of us. Because of your partner, when you're together that long, you sense what's going on over there, and you just pick it up, and you make it sound like he is the life of the party, or that we're both just here. You're supportive of it because you want to make it work. You have a job to entertain people, but it was like the greatest safety bumper, and security blanket ever.
Yeah, no matter what else is going on in my life, I've always told Heidi, I go, this is my happy place.
Yeah, and it's true. Those of you that, I mean, it's true. And to kick off on Brian's note, I tried to, being that I lived in Santa Clarita, I would always leave super early. I didn't want to be late. One particular morning, I'm late. I think there was a cup in the road on 4. and so I pull up to the red light. I'm just on La Cienega. I'm just around the building. And I pull up to, and the music has already started. In 30 seconds, we're supposed to be. Okay, so I'm thinking, well, Brian's got this. Brian's got this. I'm sitting at the red light. I look over, and Brian is sitting there.
He's going
Oh my God. This is the best. Thank you guys so much for stopping in and hanging out with us.
All the other stories at 3 o'clock.
The show tonight, 3 to 7 p.m. You want to keep it right here on 95.5 KLS for this one-time event.
And as Mark said, and I want to add to this, thank you so much for being so cool to have us in. And being so great
Anytime.
guys.
Like I said, the door is always open for you guys. Right now, we do have to apologize to those of you that we have offended today and get the hell out of here.
Jiff